Hello, my name is Grace Babcock, and I am here to talk about bees and other pollinators. I'm a recent graduate from the Howard Gardner School. There are three main points that I would like to talk about, as well as a short introduction to pollinators in general. These points are based on three questions. Who are the pollinators? What is at stake? And lastly, what can I do to help? Pollinators are very important for the health of our environment. Pollination is needed for the reproduction, or making new plants, of more than 85% of the flowers that we see. This includes over 2/3 of the food that we eat. Sadly, in many places, pollination or pollinators are at risk from habitat loss, pesticide use, and introduced diseases. Question number 1. Who are the pollinators? Even though birds, bats, and other creatures are also pollinators, insects are the animals that do most of the pollination that affects our daily lives. Some of these insect pollinators will be familiar, like bees and butterflies, but you might be surprised by some of the others: flies, wasps, and beetles. Solitary bees. Honeybees may be the first thing that we think of when we talk about bees, but in reality, they only represent a tiny part of all bee species. There are about 20,000 different kinds of bees around the world, and of these many species, more than 90% live by themselves. This means that each female makes and provides for her own nest without anyone else's help. Bumblebees. Bumblebees are important pollinators of wild flowering plants and farming crops. They are described by their round, fuzzy bodies and their ability to do something called buzz pollination, where they grab a flower in their mouth and vibrate their wing muscles to shake the pollen loose. Many plants, including some wildflowers and crops like tomatoes, peppers, and cranberries, benefit from buzz pollination. Because they are such important pollinators, the loss of bumblebees can have serious consequences, and according to recent studies, that is exactly what is happening. Butterflies and moths. Butterflies and moths are valuable pollinators, supporting the health of ecosystems in the farming industry. Like many other insect species, butterflies and moths in the U.S. are facing significant declines. 19% are at risk of extinction. Sadly, this includes the famous monarch butterfly, who has faced dramatic declines in population. Flies. With over 85,000 species worldwide, flies are one of the most diverse kinds of insects. Although some of these species are hated for eating plants and carrying diseases, many are helpful. From the aquatic midges that serve as a large food source for migrating birds to the fly pollinators of apples, peppers, mangoes, and cashews. Beetles. Beetles are the most diverse group of animals in the world. In fact, around 1 of every 4 species of plant, animal, bacteria, or fungus that I've described is a type of beetle. As a result of being in such a large group, beetles are very diverse in color, shape, and ecological role. Question number 2. What's at stake? Bees and other pollinators touch our lives every day in ways that we may not think of or realize. They are responsible for as much as 1/3 of the food and drinks that we eat, and even help contribute to the production of our clothes. A world without bees. Imagine a world without most of the food that you love. Without bees, we wouldn't have the apples, pumpkins, strawberries, blueberries, or almonds that we enjoy. A world without pollinators would not only leave us with fewer kinds of food to eat, but it would also make it much harder to find the nutrition that we need to survive. Many minerals and vitamins we need are found in plants that require pollination. Pollinators in decline. Pollinator populations are getting smaller in many parts of the world, and these declines put farm productivity and the health of natural ecosystems at risk. Over the past 10 years, the amount of healthy honeybees, both in apiaries and in the wild, have gone down a significant amount. Native pollinators are doing even worse. Many wild pollinator species naturally found in North America are facing declines, and a large amount of native bee species are at risk of dying out completely. Habitat loss, change, and separation, as well as diseases, pesticide use, and climate change are all threats to pollinators and the ecosystems that they support. All hands on deck. In order to stop these things from happening, we must all act to protect pollinators. From giving pollinators the habitat and resources they need to live and be healthy, changing our landscaping and farming practices to make negative impacts smaller, and teaching others about what's at stake, we can make a difference while there is still time. Question number 3. What can I do to help? Bring back the pollinators with these 4 easy steps. Even though pollinator conservation is difficult, it all starts with each of us acting on 4 easy steps. growing pollinator-friendly flowers, setting up nesting sites, avoiding pesticides, and sharing what you know. With these 4 things, pollinator conservation can be brought anywhere, no matter where you live. Grow pollinator-friendly flowers. Flowers make the nectar and pollen that pollinators eat. Growing the right flowers, shrubs, and trees with different bloom times that still connect with each other will support pollinators spring through fall. Provide nesting spots. It is important to support all pollinator life stages, including eggs and larvae. For bees, you can leave patches of bare ground and brush piles or install nesting blocks, and for butterflies and moths, plant caterpillar host plants. Avoid pesticides. Pesticides, especially insecticides, are harmful to pollinators. Herbicides reduce food sources by removing flowers from the landscape. Fungicides can also have combined negative effects on bees. The good news is that there are different options that you can use instead. Pesticides and insecticides are made out of different kinds of chemicals and are used to kill insects that eat or lay eggs on plants that we eat. Fungicides are chemicals that kill mushrooms, bacteria, and fungi that can grow on and infect plants that we use. While both of these things can be helpful for farmers and companies, they do a lot of damage to the pollinators that end up touching or eating them. And lastly, spread the word. Share everything that you learned today online with your friends and with your parents. As we continue to teach the people around us about these important issues, we will be able to make a difference one step at a time.